Have you ever looked at someone else's life and quietly felt behind? Not jealous, not angry, just behind. You see their success, their progress, their happiness, and then you look at your own life and wonder, why am I not there yet? This is a story about the day a man stopped comparing himself, and how that small decision changed everything. There was a man in his early 30s. He lived in a small village. His life was simple. He had a small house, a small piece of land, and a routine that rarely changed. Every morning, he woke up before sunrise. He worked in his field. He returned home tired but peaceful. At least, that is how it used to be, because slowly something began to change inside him. One day, his childhood friend returned to the village. The friend had moved to the city years ago. Now, he arrived in a new car, wearing better clothes, speaking with confidence. People gathered around him. They listened to his stories. The man stood at a distance and watched. He smiled. He congratulated his friend. But that night, he could not sleep. He stared at the ceiling and thought, we started at the same place. Why is he so far ahead? After that, he began noticing more things. His neighbor built a bigger house. Another man bought new farming equipment. Someone else sent their children to a better school. Everywhere he looked, someone seemed to be moving forward. And slowly, his peaceful life began to feel small. The quiet lesson. He started waking up with a heavy feeling in his chest. He worked harder than before, not because he loved his work, but because he felt he had to catch up. He compared his clothes, his savings, his achievements, even small things. How much did he earn? How far has he traveled? How many crops did he harvest? Comparison became his daily habit. At first, he believed comparison would motivate him. But something strange happened. The more he compared himself, the more tired he felt. Even when he achieved something, it did not feel enough, because someone else was always doing better. His life did not change much on the outside, but inside, it became noisy. One evening, after a long day of work, he walked to the edge of his field. There, an old farmer was sitting quietly under a tree. The old farmer was known for his calm nature. He was not rich, he was not famous, but he always looked peaceful. The man sat beside him. For a few minutes, they said nothing. The sky slowly turned orange. Finally, the old farmer spoke. "You look tired." The man forced a smile. "Just work," he said. The old farmer shook his head gently. "This is not the tiredness of the body. This is the tiredness of the mind." The man stayed silent. Then he finally spoke. "I feel like I am behind," he admitted. "Everyone is moving forward. No matter how hard I work, it never feels enough." The old farmer pointed toward the fields. "Do you see those crops?" he asked. The man nodded. "Every plant grows at a different speed," the old farmer said softly. "If one plant tries to grow at the speed of another, it will break itself." The man looked carefully. Some crops were taller, some were smaller, but all of them were growing. The old farmer smiled. "If you keep looking at other fields, you will forget to water your own." The quiet change. That night, the man thought deeply. He realized something uncomfortable. He was not unhappy because his life was bad. He was unhappy because he was constantly measuring it against someone else's. He had turned life into a race that no one had asked him to run. And in that race, there was no finish line, because no matter how far he went, someone would always be ahead. The next morning, he tried something new. When he saw his neighbor's new equipment, he did not compare. When he heard about someone's success, he did not measure his own. When his friend talked about city life, he listened without judging himself. It was not easy. His mind still wanted to compare. But each time the thought came, he gently brought his focus back to his own field, his own work, his own progress. Weeks passed, then months. Something inside him began to feel lighter. His house was still small. His life was still simple. But his mind was quieter. He began noticing things he had ignored before. The wind moving through the crops, the satisfaction of completing his work, the peace of sitting outside at sunset. One afternoon, his childhood friend visited again. This time, the man did not feel behind. He asked questions with genuine curiosity. He shared his own progress calmly, not to impress, not to compete, just to share. For the first time in years, he felt enough. Not perfect, not the best, but enough. He understood something important. Comparison does not always push you forward. Sometimes it quietly steals your joy. There will always be someone richer, someone faster, someone more successful. But there's only one person walking your exact path. You. The day he stopped comparing himself was not dramatic. There was no celebration, just a quiet decision to focus on his own field. And that quiet decision brought back his peace. If you often feel behind, remember this: water your field. Grow at your own speed. And stop measuring your life with someone else's ruler. Because life is not a race, it is a journey. And the moment you stop comparing is the moment you finally begin to live.